A wise man once said, "Never wrestle with pigs. You both get dirty, and the pig likes it." Toxic people want a reaction. That's their fuel. But today, my friends, you're going to learn how to starve their power without saying a word. You won't scream, you won't argue, you won't lower yourself to their games. Instead, you'll outsmart them silently, with the calm force of a storm that doesn't need thunder to be dangerous. Hey folks, imagine this. You're in a room full of mirrors, and a toxic person walks in. They start shouting, throwing blame around, pointing fingers. Every mirror reflects their chaos right back at them. But you stay still. You say nothing. And the louder they get, the clearer they see themselves. That's what silence does. It doesn't protect them. It exposes them. Toxic people can only control what reacts. Think about that. If you don't react, they don't have power. It's like trying to punch smoke. It slips through their fingers and drives them insane. And the best part? You don't even have to lift a finger. You don't have to explain yourself to people who already made up their mind to misunderstand you. You don't have to fix anyone. That's not your job. Your only job is to protect your peace. Let's break a big lie right here. If you don't stand up for yourself, they'll win. No, that's what they want you to believe. They want you to play the game, to engage in the drama, to defend and explain until you're emotionally wrecked. But silence is strategy. Silence is strength. Silence says, "I see everything, and I choose not to dance with your dysfunction." There's a reason Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." You don't win by screaming louder. You win by becoming unshakable. You win by living better. You win by being so focused on your growth, your joy, your purpose, that their games bounce off you like pebbles off a fortress. My friends, there's power in not responding to every insult. There's dignity in choosing not to entertain the circus. You don't need to show up to every argument you're invited to. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away with your peace intact and your head held high. You're not cold. You're clear. You're not heartless. You're healed. You're not weak. You're wise. And starting today, you're going to learn how to use that silence like a sword, not to hurt, but to protect. So stay with me, because this isn't just about ignoring people. It's about reclaiming your mind, about walking through fire without letting the smoke follow you home, about becoming so centered, so grounded, that no chaos can drag you down. And if that's the version of you you're ready to become, then write it in the comments right now. I choose silence. Say it, declare it, own it. Because from this moment on, that silence is no longer fear, it's power. Stay with me, folks. We're just getting started. Number 1, silence is a language. They can't speak. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear, especially the things they wish you never did. My friends, silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of power. It's a language toxic people don't speak, and that's exactly why it drives them crazy. Because when you go quiet, you become unpredictable, and when you're unpredictable, you become unmanageable. That silence, it's not weakness, it's the weapon they can't defend against. Picture this. You walk into a room full of noise, gossip, manipulation, subtle jabs, fake smiles. It's a jungle of chaos, and they expect you to play along, to roar back, to defend your character, to explain your worth like it's on trial. But instead of barking back, you sit still, you observe, you smile, you say nothing, and in that moment, they panic. Why? Because toxic people thrive on control, and your silence takes it away. You see, silence forces them to face something they've been running from, themselves. when you stop reacting, they start unraveling, because now their tricks aren't working. Their bait goes untouched. Their insults echo into nothing. And that reflection in your silence, it terrifies them, because suddenly it's not about you anymore. It's about them, and they don't like what they see. Now I know what you might be thinking, but won't they think I'm weak? Won't they think they've won? That's the trap. That's the lie they want you to believe, that silence means submission. But in reality, silence means strategy. Silence says, I'm not going to waste my breath on nonsense. I'm not going to argue with someone committed to misunderstanding me. I'm not here to play checkers with people who aren't even on the board. Let's break another lie. If you don't clap back, they'll think they got to you. But listen, if someone's opinion of you has the power to shake your identity, you've already handed them too much. Your silence isn't for them, it's for you. It's a signal to the world that you've matured past the need to react. It's a mark of emotional mastery. And mastery is silent. Toxic people are loud. They love the spotlight. They perform. They provoke. But when you don't give them an audience, their show falls apart. No applause, no engagement, just the hollow sound of their own games bouncing off your calm. That's how you win. Not by fighting louder, but by refusing to play the game at all. And yeah, it'll be hard, especially if you're someone who wants justice, clarity, closure. But you've got to understand this. Some people don't want resolution. They want a reaction. They want chaos. They want you to dance with their dysfunction. And when you realize that, something shifts. You stop chasing peace in people who profit off your pain. You start building it within. This silence we're talking about, it's not passive, it's powerful, it's calculated, it's intentional, it's standing in the storm and refusing to let it move you. It's looking a toxic person dead in the eyes and saying with your stillness, you don't get to control me anymore. It's no longer trying to prove your worth in conversations that are designed to tear you down. The Stoics taught this for centuries. Epictetus said, if someone speaks badly of you, live in such a way that no one will believe it. That's your power. Not the argument, not the defense, the life you live, the peace you protect, the elevation you choose. And I want you to feel this deep in your bones. Your silence is not empty. It's full of dignity. It's full of purpose. It's full of restraint and presence and self-respect. You don't owe access to your voice to people who haven't earned it. Let them wonder. Let them spin. Let them stew in confusion. That's their chaos, not yours. Write this in the comments right now. My silence speaks volumes. Show yourself. Show the world that you've leveled up, that you're done explaining, done defending, done dancing. Because once you master this first move, the next ones, they hit even harder. Stay with me. We're only getting started. Number 2, withdraw your attention. Starve their control. Where attention goes, energy flows, and toxic people know this better than anyone. They don't need you to agree with them. They don't even need you to like them. What they need, what they feed on, is your attention, your energy, your emotional investment, that spark in your eyes when you're frustrated, the fire in your voice when you explain yourself, the hurt in your silence when they ghost you. That's the real game. Because if they can control where your attention goes, they don't need chains to own you. But here's the secret, most people don't realize until it's too late. You don't fight toxic people with force, you defeat them with focus. Pull back your attention and you pull out the oxygen they breathe. It's like unplugging a machine mid-process. Suddenly, they don't know what to do with themselves. No supply, no reaction, just silence, and your energy redirected towards something that actually builds you. Imagine a spotlight on a stage, and there they are, center stage, arms flailing, throwing drama, hurling insults, playing victim, pulling strings. But here's what happens the moment you take your spotlight off them. The audience stops watching, the theater empties, the performance crumbles, they're left talking to themselves in the dark. That, my friends, is what it feels like when you remove your attention from a toxic person. It's not just silence, it's disempowerment. You might ask, but what if they come back even harder? What if ignoring them makes them lash out more? And you're right to ask that. Because toxic people don't let go of control easily. They'll escalate. They'll try to bait you. They'll guilt trip you. Suddenly you'll hear things like, "You've changed," or "You're acting distant," or "After all I've done for you." But listen closely. That's not concern. That's panic. That's manipulation dressed up as affection. It's not love, it's leverage. And this is where most people break. They give in. They start explaining again, justifying, reassuring, giving a little more time, a little more space in their head, a little more of their peace. But here's what you must understand. Attention is power, and you only get so much of it each day. Would you hand over your car keys to someone who's already crashed it 3 times? Then why hand over your focus to someone who's already wrecked your peace? There's a quote I live by: "Don't water dead plants." That means stop investing your light into people who grow in your shade and shrink in your glow. If they can't handle your boundaries, your silence, your evolution, then they were never rooting for your growth in the first place. They were rooting for your obedience. When you withdraw your attention, you're not being cruel, you're being clear. You're showing them, without shouting, that your time, your energy, your mind is not for sale. And no matter how loud they get, how dramatic they become, you'll remain centered in your own lane. That's when the shift happens. The day you wake up and realize, I haven't thought about them in weeks. That peace, that stillness, that's the moment you won. Not because they finally changed, not because they apologized, but because they lost access to the thing they wanted most, your emotional availability. The Stoics were never loud. They didn't win by out-shouting their enemies. They won by staying grounded in reason, clarity, and purpose. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste time proving himself to fools. He stayed focused on his mission. And my friends, that's your blueprint. Your purpose must become your new obsession, not proving anything to anyone, but protecting everything you've built internally. So if you've been pouring your attention into someone who only sees your value when you pull away, this is your sign to stop. Not out of anger, but out of alignment. Give your attention to your goals, your peace, your craft, your glow-up. That's where it belongs. Say this in the comments. My attention is sacred. Let it be known to yourself, to the world. Let every manipulator know you've unplugged from the game, that you're not attending the performance anymore, that your spotlight has moved. Because once you take back your attention, you take back your life. And what's coming next? It's not silence, it's elevation. Stay with me. This next move will make them question everything. Number 3. Don't defend, don't explain, just observe. The moment you feel the need to defend yourself, you've already allowed their lie to become your prison. Let me say it straight, my friends. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not for your silence, not for your boundaries, not for your growth. Yet toxic people will do everything they can to make you feel like you do. That's their favorite trap. They poke, they twist, they accuse. And when you rise up to defend yourself, to prove your side of the story, they smile. Because they got what they wanted. Your energy, your vulnerability, your need for validation. But here's the Stoic truth. They don't want to understand you. They want to control you. And the moment you start defending yourself to someone who isn't listening to hear, but to twist, you lose twice. First, you lose your peace. Then, you lose your power. because now you're explaining things they already decided to misunderstand. Imagine you're walking through a muddy path, dressed in white, and someone standing in the muck starts shouting insults, daring you to step in and wrestle. If you jump in, sure, you might win the argument, but you'll walk away stained, and they'll walk away satisfied. But if you keep walking, they're just left yelling into the wind. That's what it looks like when you refuse to defend yourself. That's what it means to just observe. Toxic people hate silence, but even more than that, they hate when you don't bite. They'll call you cold, arrogant, passive-aggressive. They'll throw emotional grenades and wait for you to panic and try to prove your innocence. But here's the mindset shift. You don't prove truth. You live it. You don't fight every lie. You let your peace expose the drama for what it is. They might say, "So you're not going to explain yourself?" And you'll say nothing. They'll ask, "Why are you acting different?" And you'll smile. They'll push, "You think you're better than me now?" And you'll observe. Calm, quiet, untouched. Why? Because once you understand that some arguments are just bait, you stop reaching for the hook, and suddenly they're the only one swinging. They wanted chaos. You gave them calm. They wanted to dance. You stayed still. Now they look unhinged, and you look like a mountain that doesn't move for storms. I know it's not easy, especially when your name is being dragged, when the rumors are flying, when they're twisting your words like balloon animals and showing them off to whoever will look. Your instincts scream to respond, to clarify, to correct. But let me hit you with this. The people who matter won't need an explanation, and the ones who do, they were looking for a reason to doubt you anyway. Let them go. Seneca said, "A wise man is indifferent to what he cannot control." You can't control their opinion. You can't control their assumptions. But you can control whether or not you let it touch your peace, whether or not you let it live rent-free in your mind. And today, that rent's gone up, drastically. So when they come at you sideways, don't give them what they're used to. Don't try to out-argue someone who's committed to misunderstanding you. Don't try to out-yell someone whose whole identity is built on being the victim. You stay calm, you observe, and you remember this. People only throw stones at things that shine. Your silence, that's not retreat. That's royalty. That's clarity. That's self-respect wrapped in gold. You're not lowering yourself to prove anything anymore because you know the truth. You know your values, you know your intentions, and that's enough. From this moment forward, no more explaining your boundaries to people who keep trying to cross them. No more defending your silence to people who never respected your voice in the first place. No more justifying your peace to people who thrive on conflict. Write it in the comments. I observe, I don't explain. Show them, show yourself, show the world you've upgraded your response. You've stepped out of the ring and into your throne, and trust me, the next move, it's going to shake the ground under them. Stay with me. The quiet storm is still building. Number 4. Use emotional detachment as your armor. When you no longer react, they no longer have power. And that, my friends, is the moment you become dangerous. Let's get this straight. Emotional detachment is not about being cold. It's about being in control. Toxic people thrive on chaos, but not just any chaos, yours. They study your buttons like a blueprint, push them like a game, and then act shocked when the explosion happens. That's the dance. You feel, they feed, you react, they rise, you explain, they twist. But once you stop giving them access to your emotions, you break the entire machine. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, rain pounding, thunder cracking, lightning flashing. But instead of running or screaming, you stand still, calm, unshaken. Not because you don't feel the storm, but because you refuse to become it. That's emotional detachment. That's Stoic armor. Toxic people can't handle that kind of stillness. They'll throw shade, insults, bait, silence, games, anything to get a rise out of you. Why? Because if you don't react, you're not under their spell anymore. They can't read you, can't manipulate you, can't guilt trip you, and that kills them more than any words ever could. Let's break a lie right now. If you detach, you don't care. No, that's what they want you to believe, so they can shame you back into emotional servitude. But here's the truth. You care deeply, just not about the drama anymore. You care about your sanity, your peace, your purpose. And caring about those things means not letting every insult, every silent treatment, every guilt trip shake your core. You want to know why detachment works so well? Because most toxic people have a cycle. First, they hurt you, then they watch you bleed, then they come back when the bleeding stops, just to do it again. But emotional detachment is like putting a glass wall between you and their drama. They can throw whatever they want, but it won't reach you. They'll scream, "You've changed." And guess what? You have. There was a time when you'd text back immediately, over-explain yourself, lose sleep wondering if you did something wrong. You'd replay their words 100 times in your head. But not anymore. Now. You hear the manipulation and let it float by like background noise. You see the bait and smile, knowing exactly what they're doing. That's not bitterness. That's power. The Stoics had a word for this, apatheia. It doesn't mean apathy. It means emotional freedom. Freedom from being controlled by other people's chaos. Epictetus taught, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." That's what emotional detachment is. It's the art of holding the line when someone is trying to drag you into the mud, of saying with your presence, "You don't get to control how I feel, not anymore." And yes, it's difficult, especially when it comes from people you once loved, trusted, or gave pieces of yourself to. But emotional detachment isn't about shutting down. It's about rising up. It's about no longer carrying what was never yours to begin with. Their chaos, not yours. Their insecurity, not yours. Their projections, assumptions, accusations, still not yours. You don't heal by getting the perfect apology. You heal by detaching from the need for one. You don't grow by waiting for closure. You grow by realizing that silence is the only closure you need. And the more you practice emotional detachment, the more you'll see how peaceful life can be when you're not reacting to every storm someone else creates. So here's your challenge. The next time someone tries to provoke you, don't explain, don't argue, don't absorb, just observe, breathe, detach, choose stillness, choose clarity, and above all, choose yourself. Say it loud in the comments. I choose detachment over drama. Write it, own it, show yourself. Show the world you're done bleeding for people who get high off your reactions. Because emotional detachment isn't the absence of love, it's the presence of self-respect. And my friends, that's a weapon no manipulator knows how to fight. Stay with me. The next move is the one that makes them unravel, without you saying a word. Number 5, let their own behavior expose them. You don't need to destroy anyone, just step back and watch them do it themselves. My friends, there's something incredibly powerful about doing nothing and still winning. You see, when you stop trying to expose a toxic person and instead just observe, you give them the one thing they can't handle, a mirror, not a literal one. A mirror made of their own behavior, their own words, their own patterns. And guess what? The truth doesn't need your help. It reveals itself when the performance has no audience. Toxic people are performers. They thrive on spectacle. They want to be seen as the victim, the hero, the misunderstood genius. But they can only play those roles when someone's watching, when someone's clapping, when someone's defending themselves against the lies they plant. That's the setup. They act, you react. They shift the blame, and suddenly you look unstable. You look aggressive. You look like the problem. But when you refuse to play the part, when you remove your energy, something strange happens. The spotlight turns inward, the curtain falls, and they're left standing on stage, exposed, unprovoked, and alone. Because there's no one left to project onto, no one left to confuse, no one left to blame. And here's the twist they never see coming. You don't have to say a single word. You don't have to defend yourself in the group chat. You don't have to post a cryptic quote on your story. You don't have to gather your receipts or tell everyone your side. Why? Because the people who need to see the truth eventually do, and the people who refuse to see it, you don't owe them a single drop of your peace. Imagine this, you're in a room full of people. One person starts talking badly about you, loudly, emotionally, trying to paint a picture that you're cruel, distant, cold. And you say nothing, you stay calm, you keep walking in purpose. A few people might believe their story at first, that's fine, but give it time. Eventually, they'll do the same thing to someone else, and then someone else, and the pattern becomes undeniable. It's not you. It was never you. It's them. Toxic people can't sustain the lies forever. The mask always slips. The patterns always reveal. The damage they cause becomes too loud to ignore. And when you're no longer in the way, trying to protect your name, trying to fix the misunderstanding, you allow the storm to crash where it needs to. And the beauty is, you're already gone. But this takes discipline. Because your ego will scream to be heard. Tell your side. Make them pay. Expose them first. But the Stoic in you, the higher self in you, knows better. You understand that the truth isn't fragile. It doesn't panic. It doesn't chase. It just stands still while the lies collapse. Seneca once said, "Time discovers truth." That's your ally. Time, not revenge. Not reaction, time. When you let their behavior speak for them, you give yourself the freedom to rise while they continue digging the very hole they swore they'd never fall into. And yes, it'll feel uncomfortable, watching them twist narratives, play the victim, and act unbothered while throwing shade your way. But trust me, the cracks will show. You just have to be patient enough to let them. Because here's what always happens. Eventually, they expose themselves to the same people they tried to fool, to the same circles they tried to turn against you. And when that happens, you don't have to say, "I told you so." The peace on your face, the growth in your life, the glow that can't be faked, that is your "I told you so." So stop running around trying to clear your name. Stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Let their patterns paint the picture. Let their inconsistencies unravel the mask. Let their own behavior do the heavy lifting. So, let's bring it all together. Outsmarting toxic people doesn't require yelling, proving, or chasing closure. It requires silence, focus, and emotional clarity. You don't need to announce your peace. You become it. You don't need to expose them. Their behavior will do that for you. And you certainly don't need to stay connected just to keep the peace, because real peace starts within. Remember, silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's your shield. It's your weapon. And when used wisely, it makes the loudest impact without ever raising your voice. So protect your energy, guard your attention, choose your distance, and let your calm become their confusion. If this message hit home, drop it in the comments. My silence is power. Smash that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom and emotional strength.